An obvious threat. That is what the Kremlin is calling the latest drone strike on the Russian capital. It says 2 drones were destroyed. One hit a building that was also struck a couple of nights earlier. Russia blames the attacks on Ukraine and says, quote, measures are being taken. Well, CNN's Nick Robertson tells us one ex-Russian official has an even more ominous warning.
Russia's war in Ukraine is increasingly blowing up in Moscow. This Ukrainian drone attack Saturday night, bringing Russia's war hundreds of miles away into the heart of its own capital, shocking citizens.
My friends and I rented an apartment to come here and unwind, and at some point we heard an explosion and it was like a wave. Everyone jumped.
2 nights later, another drone attack on the same building. Russia claims it intercepted 3 Ukrainian drones aimed at the capital Monday night, but at least one appears to have got through. Attacks like this in Moscow becoming increasingly common. Last week, another Ukrainian drone hit a Ministry of Defense building. A psychological blow for a population repeatedly told by Putin's state media they are winning the so-called special military operation.
I was asleep and woken up by an explosion. Everything started to shake, like the whole building had come down.
This weekend, Putin was keeping up the pretense everything is okay, celebrating Navy Day. But behind the scenes, his officials appear rattled by Ukraine's refusal to be beaten. Former President Dmitry Medvedev says if Ukraine's counteroffensive is successful, Russia will use its nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, the Kremlin is dismissing the drone strikes in Moscow as an act of desperation. The defense minister calling them terrorist attacks. Reality, they've got Moscow's attention. Ukraine's president is hinting more of these strikes to come.
Ukraine is getting stronger. Gradually, the war is returning to the territory of Russia, to its symbolic centers and military bases. This is an inevitable, natural, and absolutely fair process.
Zelensky is stating what is becoming increasingly apparent. Ukraine is ramping up drone strikes inside Russia. In recent weeks, targets just over the border in areas vital to Russia's war effort have increased too. The impact even breaking through on Russia's state media. What is clear, Ukraine's fight on Russian soil is having effect.
Nick joining me now in the studio. That was fascinating. Where does this take us?
I think it takes us to the point where there's a little bit more political pressure on President Putin. You know, his propaganda cannot withstand the rigors of the reality of drone strikes in Moscow because the narrative has been, we're winning this special military operation. But it now becomes apparent to citizens of Moscow, all those government workers who were in some of those shiny office buildings who've now been moved out since the weekend, they'll notice something's different. And when they listen to the Kremlin say, for example, or it was actually the Defense Ministry today who said, well, there were 3 drones this morning and we shot 2 of them down and the other one we were able to interrupt by electronic measures and it crashed. But hold on a minute, it crashed into the same building that was targeted 2 days ago. It's not going to look to people like a crash. So there'll be further scrutiny on Putin's war in Ukraine. I just want to add one little line there because I think it's important to put that in the context of what happened, the mutiny and the disruption a month ago. Suddenly Putin's version of what Russia could be is not as stable for people as it was.
What I find fascinating is the Ukrainian response. They haven't claimed responsibility for those drones, but what we did hear from Ukrainian officials is that Moscow now faces a fully fledged war. Kyiv taking this war to the Kremlin. I mean, you say that this is the ratcheting up of pressure to a certain extent on President Putin. What's his strategy at this point?
To carry on as if everything's the same. I mean, look, that's what he did after the mutiny, after Prigozhin's uprising a month ago, was to bring all the security chiefs together, say everyone did a great job when they didn't, and then try and carry on. He didn't address the underlying issues. Yes, he forced out Prigozhin. So what does he do now? They will try, and we heard this from the Kremlin spokesman today, Dmitry Peskov. He said less today about the drone strike last night than he said yesterday about the drone strike over the weekend, which tells you the Kremlin is trying to damp it down. Nothing to see here, folks. Go speak to the Defense Ministry. The Defense Ministry says, we took care of the drones. We shot down 2, another one crashed. So, you know, it's nothing to see here. Let's carry on. But it's not, yes, that can work to a degree.
So let's carry on. Meantime, on the ground, the counter-offensive is clearly on. Nick Payton-Walsh reporting from the front lines on that, our colleague there on the ground. What's going on? Who's winning this war at this point?
Nobody, because I don't think the war will be won until there's a peace deal, and ultimately a peace deal is something both sides are going to have to walk away from. And if there is a different leadership in Moscow, then that deal's going to look different to if it's President Putin at the moment. So we're a long way from saying anyone has won. I think where we're still in a build-up phase. Ukraine is still getting in the munitions and the training that it needs. Look, one of the discussions today on the Ukraine military front is about the F-16 training for its fighter pilots. It's been semi-agreed. It hasn't been put into effect. But, OK, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, Ukraine will have F-16s expectedly in its air fleet and air force and better able to control the skies. So what I'm saying is that there isn't a winner at the moment because both sides are still shaping up and building up their forces, and the lines on the ground aren't changing enough, and the drone strikes in Moscow aren't upseating Putin from his position of power.
Yeah, nobody expects this to end any time soon. You talk about whether there is a change in power in Russia. What's the real likelihood? I mean, how realistic is it that Putin will be unseated at this point? Is there any evidence to suggest that?
At this point, no. But I think the smart money is that Putin has come out of the wrangle with Prigozhin looking weaker, that he has enabled more of the dissenting voices around him that he normally is able to manage. That's uncomfortable for him. He's now got an uncomfortable, albeit not terribly dangerous, but uncomfortable political situation with the strikes developing inside of Moscow. His real hardship is going to come when and if the economy, his economy, Russia's economy, bites harder. And if you have people out of work, we know a lot of these sort of international businesses that were there are no longer trading. You got through last winter. But if there are people, Russians, unemployed on the streets in a cold winter, they're going to want something different. We're not there yet.
Nick, it's always good to have you. It's good to be in London. Good to have you on set with me here.